Hello. Join me with a cup of water. I'm in the studio today. Yay! And I'm excited to be working on some little test samples for the Obsession series. Last week I talked about purpose and process. It's been a bit of a challenge to stay on track with the purpose things because I've needed some processes for some other things in life, including a lovely little leak that happened in our basement. There is a significant chipmunk population in our yard, and they decided to burrow holes into the side of our house, and they were coming in, and we had a downpour of rain not too long ago and got a little bit of rain in the basement. So there's that. And the reason why that's important to my process here is that I can't have humidity in the space that I'm working in. It affects the I'm using encaustic or wax, and it affects the consistency of that when I'm heating it and applying it. Not to mention it wreaks havoc with my hair too. Oh, and our dehumidifier decided to crap out right at the time when, of course, we get water in the basement. There's a lot of things in our lives that affect our ability to stay on track with our purpose, and this week was no different. So I'm really excited to be in the studio now, and I'm working on some tests for like some little samples for the Obsession series. The Obsession series is going to be embedding ginkgo leaves into the panels and pieces that I create. So I've been working with just a limited color palette, and if you don't want to know any of this stuff, just fast forward. If you do want to know some of this stuff, just stick with me. So I love the encaustic, and I love it because it's kind of unpredictable. It's a lot like when I was years and years ago, used to do watercolors, and sometimes you just didn't have any control over what would happen with the watercolor, because it has a mind of its own depending on the paper that you use and the kind of brush and the consistency and how much water you've got on the page. This is very similar. And it can be moved around, and I just love it. These were some samples that I did with a very limited color palette. These are the ginkgo leaves, actual ginkgo leaves that I stole from a local tree, and they're embedded into the surface, just on a piece of mat board, but I do the final pieces on these birch panels. I'm playing with moving just very subtle colors around on the surface and seeing what comes of it. I've got a little video that, and you can see on the video how it expands when it's heated and then contracts, and when it does the contraction, it can create a very interesting design too. So I love the serendipity of that. I love the way it naturally creates its own design. I have to be aware of whether it works or not, but I just love that it has a mind of its own. Here's another little test. They're rough, but I'm having fun and determining what's going to work and what won't. All of these test pieces will help me determine and establish a process of how I need to work and the things that I need to introduce to these pieces, whether it be different tools or whether it be more intense heat or less heat, in order to achieve the look that I want. It's part of the process. So happy Canada Day for my Canuck friends and family, and happy 4th of July for my American friends and family, and I will see you next week. Stay hydrated.